Salt Lords, welcome back. Hello, how are you doing? How's your family? How's your dog? Are you walking your dog? Make sure you walk your dog. Don't skip dog walks. Anyways, you have made it to the Kaldheim episode, and a little disclaimer before we start. This has by far been the saltiest game that we've ever had. A little backstory. We did a prank on Sean. You'll see that in the gameplay video, but it definitely starts the episode off in a salty direction. Sterling's computer ended up crashing in the middle of the game. We had to stop what we're doing. We spent about an hour trying to recover the footage. We were able to recover it, and we were able to make it work, but it made what should have been a 2-hour recording session turn into about a 4-hour recording session, so tensions were already high. I know that we market this channel as a salty gameplay channel, and up to this point, we've had some salty encounters, but this episode definitely brings it to a whole nother level. But hey, this is what the channel's about. It's Table Salt EDH. Sometimes it's going to be really salty, sometimes it's going to be a little less salty, and in this case, it's just going to be extremely salty. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the deck intros, and let's sail into the game. Let's pillage our way into the game. Let's get into the game.
A great way to support our salty gameplay is by building your next deck using our TCG Player affiliate link provided in the description below.
Salters, welcome back to the channel. It's Kaldheim, it's Vikings, it's cool shit. Sterling, what are you playing?
I'm playing Tergrid, God of Fright. I need you to sacrifice your shit and discard your shit so I get to keep your shit. That's what I'm doing.
I am playing a Prismatic bridge. No one cares about the other side. I, unlike Sterling, am trying to build bridges, okay? I made this a bit of an elemental theme, but I'm trying to build bridges here.
I am playing Magda. Well, the whole point is to make a bunch of these, so you can go and summon a bunch of these.
And I am playing Orvar, the all form. And a lot of people have asked like how many forms he is, and the answer is all of them. Boom!
Recording!
Oh yeah.
I'm recording now.
Oh
Looks
yeah.
pretty good. Okay, now that we're recording, I have to come forward and tell you guys that I fucking hated Tergrid, and last minute I made a bunch of purchases and expedited a shipment for a new deck. Sean, I'm sorry. I fucking hope you don't mind. I had to fucking do it, man.
Wow.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah,
Dude.
dude, I'm sorry. Tergrid is ass.
Dude, I fucking did the same thing.
You fucking assholes!
No way.
Yeah, dude, that was my secret deck.
Are you
too.
fucking kidding me? You both went and got Magda?
Wait, so we have 3 Magdas.
3 Magdas, dude.
Is that gonna be awkward? Sean, are you mad?
I'm very fucking mad. I'm like livid. I'm beside myself.
3 Magda decks, baby.
You guys just couldn't let me have one goddamn thing.
Dude,
Not one goddamn nice thing.
It's like literally the only good commander in the whole fucking set. That's why I did it.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking break off Feather. I'm gonna fucking wreck you guys this game.
You can't do this Kaldheim. You have to use your Kaldheim deck.
God, I kind of hate all of you, but okay, it's cool.
I'm so sorry, Sean. It had
No,
to
you're
be
not.
done.
You're not fucking sorry at all. I don't believe you for a goddamn second.
I'm not sorry because I didn't really do it.
Neither
I
did
just
I.
Magda.
Oh, Orvar, baby.
I stuck with Tergrid.
Wait, what? I'm so goddamn confused.
To commemorate, I made a new thumbnail.
Did you guys plan this shit in the back? Oh my god.
No. Yeah.
This has been an elaborate hoax that has been like a month or 2 in the making.
What the fuck?
For the fucking life of me, could not get out to Keith's in time to grab the
Yeah,
card.
I bought him fucking one to come and grab.
It was supposed to be all 3 of us.
Oh my god.
I feel
Damn,
like
I was legit about to fucking dip out of this channel and go do something else entirely.
See,
I feel like 3 would
the
not.
deck
have
I was
been
showing on camera is my Corvold deck.
Yeah.
bought Magda.
I even made sure I bought red sleeves so that it would add to it.
I thought
but-
yellow would work.
Oh my god. I mean, that would have been hilarious, but I also would have been like absolutely fucking beside myself in rage.
And then like me and Sterling's Magda decks like pop off and yours doesn't.
Mine is fucking nothing. Oh, dude, I would have never played Magic ever again. I would have been so goddamn upset.
Oh my god.
Dude, that is actually the reaction I kind of wanted though. Like, I was worried you're just gonna be like super okay with it, like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. That's not really what we want.
Yeah, the joke.
No, bro,
the
this
joke
was
would
like
have been
my
on
thing.
us if you were happy about it.
Well, that was hilarious.
Well,
And we made sure we did it while we were
now that we have
Oh,
dumped
good.
the fucking salt in, we should roll.
Alright, Salt fam. Now that Sean already wants to murder all of us, let's get into the game. Sterling plays a swamp, then taps a swamp for Nat Miser, which reduces Dom, Sean's, and Keith's maximum hand size by 1. The salt is already flowing. Dom draws, plays a Mana Confluence, taps it for green, taking 1 life, going down to 39, and plays Birds of Paradise. He then passes the turn. Keith draws, plays a brand new snow-covered island from Kaldheim, and passes his turn. Because of the Nat Miser, Keith has to discard a Seagate Restoration. Fuck you, Sterling. This might be the saltiest Keith gets all game. Sean draws, and plays a mountain. It's a mountain. Then he passes his turn and has to discard because of the fucking Nat Miser.
Nat Miser is a workin'.
Sterling draws, plays a swamp. Because we already fucked with Sean, Sterling swings at Keith for 1, bringing him down to 39. Sterling becomes the Monarch. He draws his card, and his turn is over. Dom untaps, draws, and plays a mountain, a snow-covered mountain. He then taps the mountain and Birds of Paradise to play Lotus Cobra. Why he didn't play Lotus Cobra and then play a mountain, we'll never know. He then passes his turn. Keith draws, drops another sweet snow-covered island, taps 2 for Thought Vessel.
Oh, perfect.
Ooh,
perfect.
nice.
I specifically took that card out, and I'm not that I could see the future.
That could not have
but-
been more perfect.
Thank God. All right, and then...
Hold on, guys. I'm just gonna switch out a card really quickly. Hold on.
And cock-slapping the Nat Miser straight in the face. He then passes his turn. Sean draws, plays another mountain, and then taps 2 for a 7 dwarf.
But, so...
Did I say Sterling?
This 7 doors... When I ordered the 7 doors from Card Kingdom, they only sent 1. And so I had to go out and get tokens, and I just wrote a name of everyone from our friend group on it. So now I have weird token 7 dwarves.
Well, I'm honored.
So this is
to be a
the
dwarf.
Sterling dwarf.
On an unrelated note, we do have a TCG player affiliate link provided in the description below. Sterling draws, plays a Field of Ruin, then taps 3 for Commander Sphere. He then ends his turn and draws for Monarch. Dom draws, then plays the brand new Kaldheim card, the World Tree, which comes into play tapped. He gets an extra mana from the Lotus Cobra, then uses that, a snow-covered mountain, and Birds of Paradise to play Rhystic Study, everybody's favorite fucking card. He wonders why he's always public enemy number 1. Keith draws, taps 3, and plays Replicating Ring. He does not pay for Rhystic Study, so Dom draws a card. Keith then gets salty and passes his turn. Sean draws, then taps 2 for his commander, Magda. Not paying for Rhystic Study, Dom draws a card, which Keith fucking hates. Sean then swings his 3/2 Sterling Dwarf directly at Sterling. Because a dwarf was tapped, he gets to create a treasure token per Magda's ability. Sterling goes from 40 to 37. Sean then taps a mountain and burns one of the treasure tokens to play Lightning Greaves. Once again, not paying for Rhystic Study. He then equips the Greaves to Magda and passes his turn, drawing a card to Monarch. Sterling draws, plays a Swamp as land for turn, and earns Sean and Keith's undying loyalty as he taps 2 to sacrifice the Field of Ruin to blow up Dom's World Tree. Everyone was happy except for Dom. That was really cool, and I really loved what you did there. I love what you did, Sterling.
Cool. Cool.
Really love it. Love that you did that to me. Ooh.
I think that's good for us. I'm happy about it.
I'm not.
Ooh, Sterling, I love you, eh?
You know, we always talk
Every
about
day.
hating land destruction, but you guys seem to always counter my.
Ooh, Sterling, I love you, baby.
Let's see.
Every day. To be fair, it's because you always ramp real hard. You know, you're a
Real
threat,
hard.
dude. You should feel like happy about it. Like, dude, you
All
did it.
right.
Keith, you fucking countered an arcane signet one time.
For value. Because of Field of Ruin, everyone grabs a basic land out of their library and puts it onto the field, untapped. Sterling then taps 3 and plays Merciless Executioner. When Merciless Executioner enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Sterling sacrifices the Merciless Executioner, Dom sacrifices the Birds of Paradise, and Sean sacrifices the Sterling Dwarf, RIP. Dom draws Touristic Study, Sterling pings Sean for 1, Sean goes down to 39, and Sterling passes his turn, drawing a card for Monarch. Dom draws, plays a Cinderglade untapped, gets a floating mana per Lotus Cobra, taps a Cinderglade to play Exploration, plays an island, getting another floating mana per Lotus Cobra. He then burns the 2 floating mana and taps 3 to play the Prismatic Bridge. Bum bum bum! He then brags about his Rhystic Study. Dom then swings Lotus Cobra at Sterling for 2. Sterling goes to 35. Dom becomes a Monarch, passes his turn, and draws a card. Keith untaps, draws, gets an upkeep trigger for Replicating Ring, putting a counter on it. He then plays an island and taps 4 for Orvar. I think the game might be Orvar for the rest of the guys. Keith then taps 1 to play Aquatex Will and puts a flood counter on one of his islands. Because his island was targeted, he gets to create a token copy of it per Orvar. Keith then taps 2 to play Lord of the Unreal. Because Orvar is a shapeshifter and is all creature types, he gets a +1/+1 counter and gains hexproof due to the Lord of the Unreal. Keith also didn't pay for any Rhystic Study triggers this turn, so Dom got to draw 3 fucking cards. Sean draws, plays a mountain, then taps 2 for an actual 7 dwarves, paying for the Rhystic Study. He then moves the Lightning Greaves over to the 7 dwarves. Sean then swings his 7 dwarves and Magda at Dom, taking him down to 34. Because 2 dwarves were tapped, he creates 2 treasure tokens per Magda. He then sacrifices a treasure token and taps 2 to play Dwarven Recruiter, and then sacrifices the other treasure token to pay off Dom's Rhystic Study. I don't think Dom is very happy about this. When Dwarven Recruiter enters the battlefield, Sean gets to search his library for any number of dwarf cards, reveal them, and put them back on top of his library in any order. Sean reveals a 7 dwarves token and a Dwarven Blood Boiler. He puts them back on top of his library, passes his turn, and draws to Monarch. Sterling draws, plays a Swamp, then taps 6 for Cage Sun. He names Black, which gives all of his black creatures +1/+1, and doubles all of his black mana. He swings at Sean for 2, taking him down to 37, then passes his turn and draws for Monarch. Dom untaps, and at the beginning of his upkeep, Prismatic Bridge triggers. He reveals a Tyrant of Discord and puts it onto the battlefield.
When Tyrant of Discord enters the battlefield, target opponent chooses a permanent he or she controls at random and sacrifices it. If a non-land permanent is sacrificed this way, repeat the process.
He randomly chooses Keith for Tyrant of Discord's ability, and Keith shuffles his board behind his back and randomly reveals an island, removing it from the game. Dom then draws for turn. Being able to play 2 lands per Explore, he puts a Savage Lands onto the battlefield tapped, and puts a Command Tower on the battlefield, getting 2 floating mana per Lotus Cobra. Dom then taps 2 and sacrifices one of the floating mana to play Chromatic Lantern. He then taps a Chromatic Lantern and 2 to play Risen Reef, revealing a card from his library, which was not a land, so it gets put into his hand. He then taps 2 to play Rampant Growth, searching for an island and putting it onto the battlefield tap. He gains another floating mana for Lotus Cobra, ends his turn, and goes to discard. Keith draws, then taps 2 to play Dream's Grip, paying its Entwine cost. He taps and untaps target island, and then creates a token copy of that island per Orvar. He does not pay for the Rhystic Study trigger, drawing Dom a card, and he finally remembers the upkeep trigger on his Replicating Ring. He then taps 2 to play Shimmering Mirage, changing the basic land type of his island to another island, and creates a token copy of the island per Orvar. He also draws a card. Yet again, he does not pay the Rhystic Study trigger, and Dom gets to draw another card. God damn. He then plays an island as his land for turn, and then taps 3 for his very own Rhystic Study. He doesn't pay for the Rhystic Study for casting his Rhystic Study, so Dom gets to draw a card. Keith then passes his turn. Sean untaps, draws, and then taps 3 for a Dwarven Blood Boiler, and then taps 2 for another 7 dwarves. He does not pay the Rhystic Study tax on either of those spells, so Dom and Keith both get to draw 2 cards. Sean then passes the turn. Sterling untaps, then taps his Commander Sphere for 1, and 2 swamps for 4 to play Tergrid, God of Fright. He does not pay for Rhystic Study, so Keith and Dom get to draw a card. He then taps 3 more swamps for 6 mana, floating 1, to play Minddrake Overloaded. Dom discards an Elysian Caryatid and a Farseek, so the Elysian Caryatid will go over to Sterling's board per Tergrid. Keith discards a Ghostly Flicker and an island, so the island will go over to Sterling's board. And with Sterling promising not to target Sean for the next 2 turns, Sean discards a Balefire Dragon and an Immortal Sun, both going over to Sterling's side of the field. With the 1 floating black mana that Sterling had left over, he uses it to cast Despise and targets Dom. Dom reveals his hand, and Sterling chooses Omnath for him to discard. Omnath then goes over to Sterling's side of the field. Sterling then taps his last swamp to play Innocent Blood. In response, Sean taps 5 dwarves to the Blood Boiler to create 5 treasure tokens. He then sacrifices Dwarven Recruiter. Sterling sacrifices the Elysian Caryatid. Dom sacrifices his Risen Reef, and Keith sacrifices Lord of the Unreal. Sterling then passes his turn and draws for Monarch. Dom untaps, and at the beginning of his upkeep, Sean sacrifices 5 treasures to bring in Meteor Golem, destroying Dom's Prismatic Bridge. We realize after that Dom would have gotten a Prismatic Bridge trigger, but we forgot. The salt was just too high at this moment. In response, Dom taps 7 to play Cyclonic Rift Overloaded. In response to the Cyclonic Rift, Keith taps 1 to play Swan Song. Sorry, Dom. I wish not to make enemies.
I'm getting real sick of this shit.
Neither
right
can
now.
I.
wish-
Salt
Okay.
levels rising!
To be fair, Dom, I wish not to be enemies, but I can't lose my board, dude.
Neither can I.
Neither can I, but people keep blowing my shit up. So,
Holy hell.
um,
Dom had some fucking nukes in his pocket. Jesus.
Dom then plays Primal Beyond untapped, revealing a Shaya, and then plays an Arcane Sanctum. He then gets 2 floating mana per Lotus Cobra. He then taps Primal Beyond and sacrifices his 2 floating mana to play Darksteel Ingot, and passes the turn. Keith untaps, draws, plays another snow-covered island, then taps 3 for Spellseeker. He then searches his library for Mindbend, reveals it, and puts it into his hand. Keith then taps 1 to play Mindbend, targeting his island, changing it to an island, and then creates a token copy of the island. He then, once again, finally remembers his Replicating Ring upkeep trigger. Keith then taps 4 and plays Master of Waves, creating 4 elemental tokens for his devotion to blue. His elementals get a +1/+1 counter for Master of Waves, as well as Orvar since he's a changeling. He then passes his turn. Sean untaps, draws, then taps 2 for his Keith Dwarf. Sean then does something that makes Keith and Dom so salty, and pays for both Rhystic Study triggers. What a piece of shit. He then moves the Greaves over to Magda. Those Greaves are really whorish. He then passes his turn.
I'm gonna pass the turn. I'm gonna Dunzaroony.
It was at this point in the game where we completely lost Sterling's video and spent the next hour to an hour and a half trying to retrieve it, further propelling our salt level.
recording.
Recording.
Okay. Wow. That was terrible. That sucked a lot.
That's like
Am I untapping right now?
You
Yes,
are
it's
untapping
yours.
now.
You are untapping. It's the beginning of your turn.
Wow, God. It's official. I've had the longest turn on the channel.
Yep.
Full
Just
on
because
power.
of that, you can't mess with us for one whole turn.
Yeah, you have to forego your turn now.
I think I may.
Sterling untaps, draws an extra card thanks to Immortal Sun, then plays a Swamp, which creates a 5/5 elemental token thanks to the Omnath that he got from Dom. Feeling super bad that he made us wait an hour while we retrieved his gameplay footage, he passes his turn. Dom untaps, draws, plays an Evolving Wilds, sacrifices it to get a Forest, and since he sacrificed it, it goes over to Sterling's side of the field, which in turn creates Sterling another 5/5 elemental token. Sterling sacrifices the Evolving Wilds to grab a Swamp, which in turn creates another elemental token. Dom sacrifices the 2 floating mana that he got earlier from the Evolving Wilds, and taps 2 to play Explosive Vegetation, grabbing 2 more forests, putting them onto the battlefield tapped, and creating 2 more floating mana thanks to the Lotus Cobra. He then passes the turn, knowing that Keith was most likely going to drop a Cyclonic Rift. Keith untaps, draws, plays an island, remembers his Replicating Ring upkeep trigger, then taps the Replicating Ring to play High Tide, allowing his islands to tap for 2 for the rest of the turn. He then taps 4 islands for 8 mana to play Cyclonic Rift Overloaded, floating 1 blue mana. In response to the Cyclonic Rift, Sean taps 5 of his dwarfs to the Blood Boiler to create 5 treasure tokens, and immediately sacrifices those 5 treasure tokens to bring out Spawn of Thraxis. When it ETBs, it deals damage equal to the number of mountains Sean controls to target creature or player. Sean targets Orvar, and Orvar dies. Keith then uses his 1 floating blue and taps 3 more lands for 6 blue to cast Orvar again from the command zone, floating another blue mana. Keith then uses the remaining blue mana, taps 2 more, and Thought Vessel to play Torrential Gearhulk. When Torrential Gearhulk enters the battlefield, Keith casts Shimmering Mirage from his graveyard, targeting his island, and creating another token copy of it, then exiles the Shimmering Mirage. Strap in, everybody. The salt levels are on the rise.
So can we all agree now that Keith is popping off and he needs to be taken care of?
Yep, 100%. I am salty as fuck right now.
Keith then passes his turn. Sean draws, plays a mountain, then taps 2 for Magda, 3 for a blood boiler, and 2 for 7 dwarves. He passes his turn. Sterling draws, taps 1 for Dark Ritual, giving him 3 black mana, uses 1 of the black mana for Dance of the Dead, and plays Cryptcast from the graveyard. With another 1 of the floating black mana, he taps 2 swamps, which are doubled thanks to Cryptcast, and plays Tergrid, God of Fright. He taps for 6 black and plays Cage Sun. He then taps 1 swamp for 3, thanks to Cage Sun, and plays Commander Sphere. He taps 1 swamp for 3 again, and plays Jet Medallion and Nat Miser, then passes the turn. Dom draws, taps 3 to play Oblivion Stone, taps 2 for the Lotus Cobra, taps 1 to play Exploration. He plays Cascading Cataracts and Croson Verge as land for turn, getting 2 floating mana thanks to the Lotus Cobra. Keep in mind, Keith is drawing Phoristic Study for all of these spells. He sacrifices 2 and taps 1 to play Chromatic Lantern. He then taps 3 for Smothering Tithe, and he taps 4 for what might be the saltiest nail in the coffin of this game to play Yasharn, Implacable Earth, essentially shutting off Sean's entire deck.
Oh, so just a note, players can't gain life or sacrifice non-land permanents that cast spells or activate abilities.
When Yasharn enters a battlefield, he searches for basic plains and forests and puts it into his hand. Dom passes his turn and discards Snow-Covered Forests, Snow-Covered Plains, Darksteel Ingot, and Ashaya, Soul of the Wild, giving it all to Sterling. Wow, that's fucking cool. Keith untaps, draws, plays a Snow-Covered Island. He did not pay for Smothering Tithe, so Dom creates a treasure token. Keith taps 1 to play Giga Drowse, tapping his Torrential Gearhulk, creating a token copy of it. When that token copy enters the battlefield, Keith grabs High Tides from his graveyard, doubling all of his islands for turn. Keith taps 6 islands for 12 mana to play Blightsteel Colossus, baby. In response, Dom taps 2 to play Mana Drain, and in response to that, Keith taps an island for 2 to play Counterspell, countering the Mana Drain and protecting our precious Blightsteel Colossus. Keith then taps for 3, playing Whim of Volrath, paying for its buyback cost, targeting Blightsteel Colossus, and making a token copy of it.
Know how to handle that shit, boys.
I could 100% if Dom chooses to completely sacrifice his Yasharn.
Keith then swings 4 2/2 tokens at Sean for 8, taking him down to 29. Keith then taps 1 island for 2 and plays Sapphire Medallion, and then he passes that turn. At the end of Keith's turn, Sean taps 3 of his dwarves to the Blood Boiler and creates 3 treasure tokens. Sean taps 2 for the Delay Dwarf, 2 more for the Keith Dwarf, everybody's favorite dwarf. Sean does not pay for any of the Ristic Studies triggers, so Keith draws 2, and Dom creates 2 treasure tokens. Sean then tries to sacrifice treasure tokens to cast something, but Dom quickly reminds him that he cannot do that.
That Yasharn doesn't prevent ETB effects, does it?
It just says players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities.
Oh god, that's an anti-crit card. Jesus.
Paying 7 to cast Spawn of Thraxus to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Enough damage to kill it.
Wait, how did you sack those creatures?
I sacked the treasures, not the creatures.
You can't sacrifice them.
Oh god.
Right? Because it's
Alright, how many did I have out there then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4, I think.
Well, like, don't tap yourself to death, Sean. You need blockers for the thing.
Because if Sterling can deal with it, then
I literally have nothing to do because of the Yasharn, so I'm just going to pass turn.
Things are taking a turn for the saltiest. Sean passes his turn. Sterling untaps, draws, then taps his Snow-Covered Forest and Darksteel Ingot that he got for Dom to play Demon Disciple, causing everybody to sacrifice a creature. Keith sacrifices a 2/2 token, and Dom sacrifices Yasharn. Unfortunately, Yasharn just goes straight over to Sterling's board.
you get him now. That's the problem. He's now on your side of the field.
Oh no!
Yeah. There's the problem with Tergrid.
Yeah, you fucked us by casting that creature.
In response, Sean taps 5 dwarves to the Blood Boiler, creating 5 treasure tokens, and sacrifices the Keith Dwarf. Sterling then taps a swamp to play Siphon's Mind. Each player discards a card, and Sterling draws a card for each card discarded this way. Keith discards an island, Sean discards a Meteor Golem, and Dom discards a Tyrant of Discord. The Tyrant of Discord and Meteor Golem go over to Sterling's side of the battlefield. In response to the Meteor Golem entering the battlefield on Sterling's side, Keith taps 2 to play Mystic Reflection, choosing a 2/2 token, so the Meteor Golem enters as a 2/2 token. When Tyrant of Discord enters Sterling's side of the battlefield, Keith numbers all of the cards on his side of the board, and Sterling puts it into a random number generator and generated the number 21, which was an island. So Keith sacrifices an island, and the trigger resolves. Sterling then taps for a Playcrafter, and in response, Keith taps 1 blue mana, thanks to the discount from Sapphire Medallion, to cast a Fairy's Time Twister, exiling one of his Torrential Gearhulks and creating a token copy. When the token copy enters the battlefield, Keith recasts Mystic Reflection from his graveyard and has the Playcrafter enter in as a 2/2 token. Feeling absolutely defeated, Sterling ends his turn. Dom untaps and draws. Realizing that nobody can do anything with Yasharn out on the field, Dom taps a Plains and Swords to Plowshare the Yasharn. Sterling gains 4 life. Dom then sacrifices 5 floating mana and taps 2 to play the Prismatic Bridge, and then taps 5 to play Torrent Elemental. He then taps 4 for Forgotten Ancient, and then taps 4 for everybody's favorite, Omnath Locus of Creation, which allows him to unnecessarily draw a card. He then passes his turn. Keith untaps and draws. Also, just a note that unless we otherwise specify, you can assume that nobody is paying for the Rhystic Study triggers, which Dom paid for 1 last turn. Keith does not pay for the Smothering Tithe trigger, so Dom gets to create a treasure token. Keith then taps for 1 island to play Leap, targeting his Blightsteel Colossus and giving it flying until end of turn, also creating a token copy of the Blightsteel. Dom forgets how Keith's deck works and asks him how he was able to make a copy token of the Blightsteel, which Keith got a little salty about.
What gave you that ability? Sorry?
Leap.
To copy him?
Well, when I target a card, I get to create a new card. It's kind of the whole point of my deck.
Okay.
That I've been doing the whole entire time. Right? Feeling super salty about his deck being shut off, Sean offers for Keith to kill him and that he will help him kill Sterling and Dom for no apparent reason. Someone's a little salty.
He's done.
Keith, kill me, and I will help you kill Dom and Sterling.
Why?
I don't want to kill you, dude.
I mean,
Not like that.
I'm the only one you can kill right now. I'm all tapped out.
No, he can kill everybody.
You could swing at me, and I can help clear the board.
After rejecting his offer, Keith taps 1 for Chilling Trap, targeting one of his Torrential Gearhulks, giving it -4/-0 until end of turn, and creating another token copy of it. When the Torrential Gearhulk enters the battlefield, Keith recasts Leap from his graveyard, targeting the other Blightsteel Colossus that is not affected by Summoning Sickness, and then creates another token copy of Blightsteel. He then taps 3 to play Jolt, and taps down Dom's Torrent Elemental. He then swings 11 Infect at Dom, and 11 Infect at Sterling. This sparks a real salty conversation.
Sean, hang on, Don. Sean, if you literally don't do anything after we just spent an hour trying to figure out how to save your fucking board, we're gonna have issues. Dude, Dom and I have spent like an hour trying to figure out how to fucking elevate your board state. I don't understand why you're giving up.
He's not swinging at me right now. I mean, I'm still in the game.
That's why.
as far as I know. Right? Am I wrong?
Dude, we together have been trying to ward off Keith. Like, unless you don't have an answer and you can't do anything, you could tell me that. And
There are things I can do, but if he's not coming at me with Blightsteel Colossus, then I have no incentive to do anything right now.
If you don't win this game, Sean, if you don't win this game without us right now, I will no longer refer to you as Sean, but dumbass for the rest of your life.
That's very fucking fine with me. I'm absolutely 100% okay.
Better win, Sean.
Woo! Salt levels 9,000. Keith taps 7 to play Agent of Treachery and targets Magda. In response, Sean sacrifices 5 treasure tokens and searches for Sky Sovereign, dealing 3 damage to Magda, killing it. Keith then ends his turn. Sean untaps, draws, and taps 5 for Mana Geyser. In response, Keith taps his Replicating Ring for blue to play Mind Games, targeting his Torrential Gearhulk, tapping it and creating a token copy. When the token copy enters, Keith casts Counterspell from his graveyard and counters the Mana Geyser. Sean then taps 3 and sacrifices a treasure to play Magda. Sean then taps 4 of his dwarves to crew Sky Sovereign to make it a creature and also creates 4 treasure tokens. Sean then sacrifices 5 treasure tokens to play Terror of the Peaks. Then he sacrifices 2 more to play Lightning Greaves and equips it to Terror of the Peaks, then swings Terror of the Peaks and Sky Sovereign at Keith. Keith then takes 11 damage and goes down to 28. Sean passes his turn. Keith untaps, draws, and then swings 4 Blightsteel Colossuses straight at Sean's face, taking him out, and the game is over. Do you see what I did there? Keith wins the motherfucking game. I am blue. Yabba-dee, yabba-die, yabba-dee, yabba-die, yabba-dee, yabba-die. I am blue. Yabba-dee, yabba-die.
A great way to support our salty gameplay is by building your next deck using our TCG Player affiliate link provided in the description below.